Welcome to the SPEAKPact podcast, where high-performing speakers and the producers who hire them merge to give you the insider secrets to the lucrative speaking industry. Antoniette Roze, your podcast host and celebrated speaker agent, unveils insider success strategies. Discover a nexus of thought leaders and bookers, maximizing your potential in each and every episode. Your ticket to ultimate speaking success begins right here. Catch the transformative insights waiting for you on the SPEAKPact podcast, hosted by the industry powerhouse herself, Antoniette Roze.
Super excited that you're here with us today. And Bobbie and I are going to dive into some pretty important subjects. If you are an emerging voice, you're a speaker who's really wanting to take your career to the next level, stay tuned because we're going to dive into the different ways of monetizing speaking. And we're also going to talk a bit about how much opportunity there is for women right now in speaking, more than ever before. So welcome to the stage, Bobbie Carlton.
Thank you so much for having me.
Super excited to talk with you. We've been friends on LinkedIn and I've been following you. I love the work that you're doing. I know that you have a whole PR, it's the Carlton PR and marketing company. Is that right? Do I have that right?
One of the companies.
One of your companies. Tell me a little bit about Innovation Nights and Innovation Women. What is that about?
Sure. So just for background for everybody, I usually tell everyone that I have a day job, Carlton PR Marketing. That's how I actually make a living. The night job for many years was Mass Innovation Nights. It was a monthly new product launch event.
Say that word again because it sounded like something it probably shouldn't have sounded like. It was Mass Innovation Nights?
Mass Innovation Nights.
It sounded like something totally different. So I'm glad you were... No, go ahead.
Are you editing that out?
No editing.
No editing. We are live. Awesome. All right. Yes, Mass Innovation Nights, because we're in the Boston area. And actually, there is also Maine Innovation Nights and New Hampshire Innovation Nights and Pioneer Valley Innovation Nights, which is Western Massachusetts. But Innovation Nights was social media powered new product launches. We launched over 1,500 new products that got more than $4 billion in funding over 11 years.
Wow.
These were monthly events, so the pandemic kind of interrupted things.
Is it kind of like for inventors or people who are coming up with new concepts?
Any new product. Okay. Any new product. I usually tell people that if you name a product, we probably launched one of them. So
nice.
Some examples were things like, I don't know. This is one of my favorite. An underwater dog treadmill.
Okay. Did it sell?
It was a device that was sold to veterinary offices, and it was a therapeutic thing for dogs, and it would be a treadmill that was underwater, supporting the dog's weight if they were injured so they could get exercise, but supporting their weight in the water.
You know, I love that because that comes with that needs a little explanation,
Yeah.
right? And so that brings in the whole power of speaking. You get to introduce concepts that maybe people are not as familiar with, and then they see the value, whether it's something crazy like a underwater dog treadmill, which makes a lot of sense after you explain it,
Sure.
or just really a thought about how to improve your life, how to improve your business, whatever it might be. You can hear the slogan or you can, hear the high level, whatever, but it's when you get on stages and really speak at a deeper level on that subject when the light bulbs start going off in people's heads and they can latch onto it.
Yep. And that brings us to company number 3, the dream job, and the dream of more women getting on stage at conferences and events.
Fabulous. So you've got the day job, the night job, and the dream job.
Yes. But I didn't stop there. During the pandemic, I actually engaged in a little bit of retail therapy. And I bought 2 more companies because I don't know.
Because you're a woman after my heart. That's
yeah,
why.
you may have bought a new bedspread or curtains or maybe some nice slippers. I went out and bought 2 companies. I bought a research service for professional speakers called My Speaker Leads, and I bought a digital magazine for women entrepreneurs called Lioness.
Ooh, nice. And are all of these companies kind of up and running, and you're running them all at kind of the same effort level, or where's your focus? I guess your core focus.
Yeah, I mean, Innovation Women is, I would think, probably the biggest focus because it is my own startup. It is growing. It is rapidly expanding, and I think there's a huge amount of interest in it. Carlton PR Marketing, it's good to focus on the things that actually pay you. That's a big one. But Innovation Nights got very quiet during the pandemic, and we haven't brought it back in a big way. It still does have a weekly newsletter, and it helps promote other events, but that actually kind of ties into Innovation Women as well.
I just love, the best recipes have all kinds of ingredients in them, right? And I just love all of the ingredients in what makes up your profession. What I'd love to dive a little bit into is women speakers, because we have seen inequality in that. I've been in the industry for going on 30 years, putting speakers on either my stages or other people's stages. And the same speaker same speaker spot, right? The man gets paid more than the woman. I hope that gap is starting to close a little bit, but it's just how it's been going.
Absolutely. And one of the things about women and speaking, if you look at the data, the last data is from a company called Bizzabo. And Bizzabo looked at the data around gender and speaking in 2018, 2019. They looked back about 5 years each time. And they saw that 2/3 of all conference speakers are men. And that obviously leaves women out of lots of career and business opportunities. And that was kind of part of the big mission for Innovation Women, was getting women on stage and giving them a share of the voice. But as you alluded to, there's also other inequities. And, let's face it, we start right off with pay inequities if we are women. If you look at the data around any industry, women come, I think it's like, 82 cents on the dollar? If you are, all other things are equal.
We're still there. I don't know why.
Yeah. And I mean, that is one of the reasons that I'm so focused on public speaking as a mission, because I believe that if we get on stage as women and we are seen as leaders, thought leaders, experts, if we have the ability to tell our story, we have many, many business and career opportunities that we can get access to. So, just being a speaker there's direct correlation between being a speaker and a higher salary. If you are seen as a comfortable public speaker, you will earn more.
Let's talk about salary. The women-men issue, the minority, non-minority issue, it just is. And I think the only way to really counterbalance that is just keep going. We got to work a little bit harder, right, to prove our value, whatever it might be. But now there are a lot of women making a lot more than a lot of men. And it's not really about that. It's more about, let's all have the same opportunity, right? If we choose to be a speaker, there should be an understanding that I'm going to be hired on my merits, not on the color of my skin, my sex, all of those kinds of things. It should just be on my merits. And so that said, I know that women are just naturally talk about stereotypes, but we just kind of, we're problem solvers, right? We can juggle a whole lot at once as a rule. And if we can't go through the wall, we're going to go around it, over it, however we need to get around it. And I think that has really been true for the speaking industry. If the host isn't going to pay us as much as the other guy, let's figure out some other ways that we can make money as a speaker. So talk about innovation. You're very innovative in that area. One of the things that really attracted me to having you on the show. So you need to talk about that, some of the creative ways, the outside of the box ways to really become a prosperous speaker that may include, but maybe not always, that host check.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, I want to address why there are fewer women on stage. Real quickly, just a little side detour before we jump into speaker compensation and speaker business models. 2/3 of all conference speakers are men. Okay. We've got that number out there. And I often speak to podcast hosts who are like, well, women say no, or women turn down opportunities, or women are shy and retiring. Oh my God, no. Stop.
Tomatoes are tomatoes.
Yeah. Stop it. So there are some actual systemic things that we need to be aware of when you look at why there are fewer women on stage. Number one, women are more likely to work for smaller companies. Mm. Women are more likely to work part-time. Women are still more likely to be responsible for kids and home. That means all three of those things are kind of recipes for women to turn down opportunities or not seek out opportunities to be on stage. If you think about it, if I work 3 days a week, am I likely to say yes to a speaking engagement, which will require 2 days of travel, being at a conference for a day or two? I mean, I'm literally going to be out of the office that whole week. And if I, again, more likely to work for a smaller company, if I don't have anybody to backfill for me, or if my company really can't support me being gone, I have to turn down that opportunity. And on top of all of that, it's hard to be the morning keynote if you've got to put little Johnny on the bus at 8 a.m. Yeah. We can only be in one place at a time. So all of that aside, event and conference organizers are more likely to pick up speakers who have experience, who have been on stage before. So speaking begets speaking. The more speaking you do, the more speaking you will do. And the speakers who are out there get more opportunities. So it's going to take a long time to actually fix these inequities at the systemic level to get equal representation on stage. All right. Now, we're going to
I love that aside. First of all, before we go on, your quote, and we do quote, so this is going to be one I'm going to pull out. Bobbie Carlton said, speaking begets speaking, and the more speaking you do, the more speaking you get. I think you said something along those lines. We'll get it from the transcripts, but I have found that to be so true, right? We're all wanting those perfect speaking opportunities, those perfect speaking engagements. But I have found, as an agent, my speaker's best next talk often comes from their current talk, whether it was paid by the host, paid okay, or paid really well. That's generally where they're going to get their best next talk, or at least the buzz about them, right? That might boost their next talk. So there's so much value in taking those engagements, even if they're not maybe perfectly ideal.
Absolutely. And if you go on stage and knock it out of the park, your next speaking engagement is probably a witness to this. And if you as a speaker come off stage and find, a sea of people waiting for you, there's going to be somebody probably in that group with a business card in hand saying, what does it cost to have you do that presentation at my event or for my company.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be knocking it out of the park every time you step on stage because somebody is watching.
Somebody's watching. Yeah, so good.
All
I
right.
stopped you midstream.
Now we're going to go back to talking about speaker business models. And I generally don't talk as much about speaker pay as I talk about speaker compensation. And as a speaker, we want to think about how we pay ourselves for the time that we invest in creating all of this value, creating presentations, educating ourselves, practicing our trade. You can't just step up on stage and go, da, 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 here I am. You have to practice.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of time investment in speaking, and you have to actually do the work to get good on stage. It's a little side jaunt over here again. I'm good at this. This is one of the reasons I love seeing people who self-identify as introverts as speakers, because extroverts, I think, have been told their whole lives, you're amazing, you should be a speaker. And they believe that, and they go up on stage often slightly unprepared, while an introvert will practice and they will really prepare for being on stage. So, okay, now back to paying yourself for all of this time investment. You need to think about this number. Half of all event managers have no budget whatsoever for the speakers. Okay? Fully half. We did a study in 2014, 2015, as I was starting Innovation Women, and I surveyed 360 event managers of all different sizes, types, industries. And that's where the half of all event managers having no budget comes from. Here's the interesting stat that came out of that study. 42% of event managers only pay some speakers. So that means they've got money for keynotes. Maybe they have money for people that are doing workshops. Maybe they have discretionary funds, but they're not paying everyone. We call these the cagey event managers. They don't want to be known for paying some people because that means everybody wants to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of quiet about it. And frankly, they kind of hide that they are paying some people.
Yep.
So if you're doing the math along with me, 8% of event managers pay all or most of their speakers. That's a very small percentage.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, suddenly it's like, getting paid by the conference organizers really and truly can't be the only way I get compensated.
Yep.
So you need to think through how you are going to be compensated for the time and attention that you are paying to speaking. Whether it's I'm writing a book and I do public speaking to support book sales, or I have another product that I sell, or maybe every time I get up on stage, I am connecting with people who will hire me for consulting services. So there are all kinds of different ways to make a living as a speaker. But I will tell you right up front that a very, very small percentage of speakers only make a living from speaking.
I love that
something else they do.
I love that you did that study, Bobbie, because it's polling 315 or however many, that took some real time and effort. I would venture to say that, and then out of that 8%, how much of a percentage of them pay over $5,000? Or, most speakers want to get out there, make the $10, $15, $20, $25,000 checks. how many out of that 8% are actually at that level. So even more reason to have a model where, those keynote checks are pretty nice,
Yep.
but some other way to monetize your speaking.
Yeah. So about 30% of speakers who do get paid are earning below $5,000 per presentation.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And that study came from a survey that we did of almost 400 speakers. And you see a lot of like very high numbers if you do online searches for what speakers get paid. And that's because there are celebrities and politicians and astronauts and professional speakers who have spent years building up businesses, and maybe they work with a speakers bureau. And a speakers bureau is not going to represent anybody who doesn't already earn a good amount as a speaker. So, the numbers are really skewed if you're looking at speaker price tags, because the studies are being done by speakers bureaus, and it's in their best interest to have that number be high. They are surveying their own people. They're looking at what they're bringing in, but they're really not looking at the rank and file of speakers.
Right.
And they're also not looking at the majority of speaking opportunities that they would never touch because they aren't paying. And that's how a speakers bureau makes money.
It's really important to understand. I love that you're saying this, Bobbie. This is so important, especially for emerging speakers. So This audience, the SpeakPact audience, is predominantly high achievers in whatever their expertise is, their field. And they're at a point where they want to start getting their voice out there. They want to actually really step up their speaking. And they've seen those speakers who are making $25,000 a talk, right? And booked every month or whatever.
Well,
it might be.
I'm going to stop you there. They say they are.
Right.
Okay. We've done a lot of research and a lot of asking questions. And because Innovation Women is a non-traditional speakers bureau, we don't take a portion of the fee. Both sides of the equation tell us stuff. And they don't care if I know that their budget is X amount, because I'm not making a portion of that. I can help guide them to speakers in that price range. I'm not trying to jack up the amount that an organization is paying. On the same side, the speakers tell me the real price tag, and we saw a huge percentage difference between a speaker's list price and what they received the last 3 times that they were on stage.
The actuality. Yep.
Right. So we can have a list price, and because there's no, it's not like there's a measurement that says after X number of years, I'm going to be paid this amount, or, every 10 years as a speaker, you earn an extra $1,000. No, that's not how it works. It's all based on perception. What is the perception of the value of that speaker? And that's what the price tag is. And things are heavily negotiated, and they are negotiated often from a place of secrecy. As a speaker, I don't want anyone to know what I got paid for that opportunity, because that will impact what I earn in the future. And don't get me wrong, I am here to get speakers compensated fairly for the knowledge and the value that they impart. And I think, Innovation Women is designed to help educate speakers and event managers on both sides about what is fair and what is not fair in the whole speaking world. And there's a whole lot of not fair.
Mm-hmm. It's whoever has the better PR dollars, I guess, the better marketing dollars, right? Going back to your day job. It's
Yes.
all
Well,
so
and the
important.
perception of power and leadership. I mean, I created Innovation Women because I got tired of what I call the male, pale, and stale panels. It's the same four old white guys over and over and over again. You know, back to the speaking begets speaking. It's the same people telling the same stories. And it's not good for anybody to have those same people always talking. We don't learn anything new. And for an event manager, your audience is limited if you keep bringing the same speakers and the speakers look the same and they come from the same lived experience.
Let me ask you this. Everything, I'm so on board with everything you're saying, and it's just refreshing to hear it because you've been in the industry for a long time, but not even just in one part, right? Obviously, like in the different working pieces of the speaking industry. What do you say to that emerging voice, that emerging speaker who thinks they're going to step into the world of speaking as basically an unknown and start getting those amazing speaking engagements within 3 months or 4 months?
My heart breaks. And I often talk to speakers who have invested in masterminds and classes, and they've been training, and they're like, yes, you know, I am a powerful speaker and I impart value. And more often than not, the speaker who makes the most is not the most powerful speaker on stage. The speaker who makes the most has a business process. They are salespeople. They have created a powerful foundation for their speaking career. You need to be credible before you step on stage. And often that credibility is driven from you embodying the transformation and the value that you're imparting to the audience. It's very hard for me to step on stage and say, I am going to teach you how to make $5 million as a speaker, unless I've done it myself.
Yes.
And the people who have done it are few and far between. And they often, I think, forget that it took them a decade to get there. And, you know, it was not a direct rocket ship to the moon. It was a lot of side trips and a lot of foundational work to make that happen.
This is definitely going to be a highlight. This little part of this talk. You've brought so much to the table, Bobbie, but I love, and rightfully so, you are known as the entertaining, tell it like it is speaker, because you do. And I really love that. And my agency was founded on basically those principles, right? Don't buy another mentorship. Don't buy another class that's going to show you how to go from zero to, you know, hero in a very short amount of time as a speaker, because in reality, it takes the foundation. It takes that hard elbow grease in the beginning. And a lot of speakers don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear it's going to take 6 months to a year and a half, which is really condensed.
That
if
is,
you do look
I
at
usually say 3 years.
Yes. So I like how you said you have to have a business process. Yes. You need a powerful foundation, a solid foundation, which is a lot of working pieces in itself. Yes. You need to be credible, that positioning, and I guess paying your dues, right? Before you yes. And it's worth it because speaker life is pretty darn amazing. But very few, like you said, actually just go from an unknown and step right into that without. Look at Tony Robbins. Like, it took him 12 years to become a name that began to get recognized, right? And he hit that. He has no lack of motivation, and he hit that pavement hard, really without a whole lot of fruit within the first 10 years. Now let's condense that. We know enough now, right, where we can condense that. But please, if you're going to, purchase something that will excel your speaking career, make sure that packaged into it is a service that's going to help you get there versus just a class you get to watch and glean. Like, hook up with people who are going to lock elbows with you and help take you there. And I love, Bobbie, that you have multiple different ways of doing that.
Yeah, I do want to be encouraging to people as well. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer of the speaking world. But at the same time, I talk to people all the time who have second mortgages and maxed out their credit cards for these crazy programs that make promises. I'm going to teach you how to earn $1 million as a speaker. I'm like, well, let's see. I've been working for 10 years and I've got 100,000. Yeah, it'll take you a while. You're not going to vault right up onto the stage and earn $1 million as a speaker. So please take that into account. That said, I learned my own lesson about money and investing and things like that. I started Innovation Nights as a community service, and I never charged any entrepreneur anything. We never sold tickets to the events, and we got sponsors. A lot of the big companies in the Boston area, IBM, Google, Microsoft, LogMeIn, TripAdvisor, sponsored and hosted our events. That is how we paid for doing them. Because we weren't charging the entrepreneurs anything, they did not respect the service that we were providing, which was literally a free month-long marketing program that walked them through how to be active on social media, how to start creating their own community, how to set up to go to an event, how to demonstrate their product, how to pitch their product. And because we didn't charge them anything, the night of the event, very frequently somebody would be like, nah, I got something else going on that night. And we'd be like, okay, we just spent a month promoting you to our massive audience, and there are people coming who want to see your new product.
Wow.
But they didn't respect us because we
Right.
weren't charging them anything. So when I started Innovation Women, I actually crowdfunded the money to build the platform, to get it rolling. And I tested, kind of what will people pay? And right now, Innovation Women is a membership organization. It's $120 a year, so $10 a month. That means people have skin in the game. At the same time, it's a no-brainer in terms of the expense for somebody who's interested in exploring public speaking, interested in getting started. It has a database of speaking opportunities. It has literally hundreds of hours of educational material. And it's designed to kind of get people thinking about themselves as speakers, and yet not force somebody to mortgage their house or max out their credit cards. So
I love the way you said that.
Skin in the game, but not predatory.
It's certainly worth investing in your career. Just invest wisely, right? If you're going to get some consulting, make sure there's services that back that. That's what I've seen, and opportunity like you're offering to back that. And something you said in our pre-interview talk had to do with that speaking as being the driving force behind career growth and business success. So speaking has a lot of value in getting you prosperous done right.
Yes. I mean, speaking, I talk about speaking as a game changer when it comes to getting on stage. Let's face it, you'll never be seen as a leader, or you'll never be seen as an expert if you're sitting in the audience. When you are on stage, you are often physically elevated above the audience, and people are literally looking up to you. So when you're a speaker, you have these opportunities, you're telling your story, but you're also, the impression is that you've been vetted, that you know more than the average person who is sitting in the audience. So these are things that, you are seen as a leader, new job opportunities, maybe board opportunities, a raise, a promotion. Like, these are great for your career. But if you are a business person, you're telling the story about yourself and how you started your company, maybe, and people are like, hey, I need me a little bit of that thing. Or you can drop breadcrumbs along the way as a speaker and telling the stories that you tell. Maybe you tell a story of the work that you did with a client. Someone in the audience says, ooh, she takes clients. Hey. Maybe we'll have a conversation afterwards.
And people hire who they trust, right? They get to experience you. They see how you hold yourself, how you communicate information, and they do get to hear a little bit about what you've done for your other clients. And so you're the sure bet, right? You become the obvious choice versus someone they're going to pick out of, an online search or something along those lines. Love it. I know by this time, our audience, there's a good number within this audience is going to want to know, how do we find Bobbie Carlton?
I usually tell people I'm very easily Googleable, but find me at innovationwomen.com.
Innovationwomen.com. Fabulous. Yep. And you got a huge following on LinkedIn. So that's another great place to see what you're up to.
I do a weekly, a bi-weekly newsletter on LinkedIn called Speaker Friends Tell All. And
Speaker Friends Tell All. Ooh,
so
fun.
the whole concept of speaker friends is something that we do at Innovation Women, because I am convinced that the most successful speakers have friends who are speakers who share information. Speaking overall tends to be a somewhat secretive industry. I don't know why this is, but I do get a very definite feeling when I ask a speaker outside of Innovation Women any question, that there's a hesitation. Then there's a, how much should I let her know? But inside Innovation Women, we talk a lot about speaker friends supporting each other, speaker friends helping each other out. And that has become part of our culture.
Is this still just in Boston, or is it now remote so anybody can come in?
We have speaker friends all over the world, and we do a Friday morning Speaker Friend Friday Zoom call. Sometimes we do 2 a day. And on Fridays, I spend a lot of time on Zoom with a lot of speakers. And I keep thinking, at some point, there will be no more questions to ask. Hasn't happened yet.
I don't think that'll ever happen. So tell us a little bit about what it takes to qualify, what the cost is, all that good stuff.
Speaker Friends is free and open to anyone.
Wow.
The only cost is your email address, so you can get the link.
And
it's part of Innovation Women, yes.
Is it generally speakers who are just brand new or who have been speaking? Is it kind of a blend of all of that?
It's a blend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to me that we do get very experienced speakers. We get people who are just starting out. We get people who are senior in their careers, but haven't yet dipped a toe in the speaking water. Because I find that among the more interesting speakers. You have people who are incredibly proficient in their careers who are like, yeah, I've never gotten on stage yet. And I'm like, what are you waiting for?
Exactly. Yes.
One of my big recommendations is you should always start speaking before you think you're ready. Don't
always start
wait.
speaking before you think you're ready. So What if you flop? What if you're a disaster?
Eh, the first time when I started Innovation Nights, I will fully admit, not a real confident speaker. And this is about 15 years ago. And that first night, that first event, I think I blocked from my mind that I was going to have to be the MC. I was going to have to be the host. I was going to have to be the speaker that night until it kind of just happened. And I sweated through my blouse. Thank God I was wearing a jacket. I was a literal hot mess. And of course, this is a social media powered event. Everybody's got their cameras out. So there's lots of photographic proof. And I saw those pictures, kind of heard myself in my mind's eye and went, oh, dear God, I need to either stop this now or get better. And over the years, we did 130 something Innovation Nights events before the pandemic stopped us. I got better. And then people started coming to me and asking me to speak at their events. And I got better at that. And in 2019, I got asked to do a TEDx. You know, I got the phone call and it was, we want to invite you to be part of our TEDx. I hadn't applied. And I was like, oh, absolutely. Like, this is like the moment I've been dreaming of. And I said, when is the event? And they said, Tuesday.
Oh my goodness.
And I immediately went, no. Like, that's a bad idea. I obviously have a fabulous database of speakers, and I went to my fabulous database and I'm like, who wants to commit career suicide? No. And 5 people raised their hands and said, I will go on stage in 3 days. And the organizers said, none of these people fit our theme. And I said, well, what's your theme? And why didn't you tell me that before? And they said, well, our theme is innovation. Oh, that's why you called me. It really does point to the power of brand as a speaker.
The power of brand,
So,
yes.
I did the event. I'm not going to say it was the best thing I've ever done, but I will say I was not embarrassed by it. And I think that as a speaker, you get better over time. The more you practice, the more you give, especially a signature talk, which you're doing over and over again. Phrases become ingrained on your psyche and they just flow from your mouth without you even to really having to think about it. And that practice is what I think saved the day for me at that point. But it has made me definitely much more bankable and more proficient in speaking overall.
More bankable and more proficient. And do it scared. Just get out there, get your voice. Most audiences are very forgiving, right? They're there to support you. They want to see you.
They want to see you succeed.
Yeah, they want to see you succeed. And you do have real value to give them. And that's what they're there for. So go for it. Okay. Along those lines, you and I are here because we believe in the power of voice. And this show is SPEAKPact, a pact to make the biggest impact that we can in this world through the power of our voice. What is something tactical, Bobbie, that you can leave our audience with that maybe are afraid to do it afraid, right? Or maybe aren't quite sure about the next step in their speaking career. What is something that you say, if you do this, you are going to move your career to the next level when it comes to speaking?
And I'm going to actually point back to something I said earlier. When we talk about the value that a speaker delivers, part of that value is offering something new and different, a different perspective, a different take on things. I think too many speakers just go what I call one Google search deep.
Mm.
They don't spend the time to think about the differentiators that they could potentially offer their audience.
Mm-hmm.
If you look around, now here's where I come into, this is what I want people to do. I want you to all go out and look at other speakers who talk about the same thing that you speak on. And I want you to understand them. Where are they coming from? And how is what you offer different? You need to be your own unique flavor in that world. And I think too many speakers get on stage and offer up that one layer deep. We need to think deeper as speakers.
Fabulous advice, right? AI is the big thing. So I'm going to talk on AI, whatever it might be, right? The big thing. I'm going to talk on this when even stress management, right? What is your real take on it, that deeper take on it? We're all wondering, is AI going to take over humanity, right? Let's talk on the fact that humanity will always stand, right? The importance of, like, come at it, maybe not to be a devil's advocate, just to be a devil's advocate or a disruptor, just become a disruptor. But what is it, that deeper layer of what you're actually feeling and some of the solutions that you really have come up with, and go with that. I love that. Not one Google layer deep. However you said that was fabulous.
Yeah. And I do think that as speakers, we have a responsibility every time we get on stage to blow the audience away. Think about how you can make the audience think about something or see the world in a different way versus just being up there and talking about the topic the same way everyone else does. I speak a lot, obviously, about public speaking. I have a unique perspective. I am not coming at this from the point of view of a speaker's bureau, because I am not a traditional speaker's bureau. I'm not coming at it from the perspective of a speaker, because I have, my gosh, a plethora of data that I have access to because I run a speaking platform. I have trained speakers over the years in the act of public speaking, but I'm not talking just about that. I'm talking about how we get people on stage and how we change the world through putting different people on stage. That's a unique perspective. And very few people can come to the stage with the same type of data and information that I have access to.
Yes.
You need to think about it yourself. How can you, Mr., Ms., speaker person, how can you differentiate what you do? Think about it this way. I come to the table and I say things like, I am different than other speakers who talk about public speaking because I have this unique perspective. How can you, when you're talking to an event manager, tell them, I talk about this topic differently because what?
So good. I know it's super expensive, but everybody listening that is a female needs to go to innovationwomen.com. When I say it's expensive, it's obviously not. Just
You're
to
being
me,
sarcastic.
It's a no-brainer.
Okay, good.
Being part of it is to me a no-brainer. You come with such a wealth of knowledge, and just gaining those speaker friends are so important. I just want to speak to that in a moment as we close. One way to build that law of reciprocity, that good vibe, right, between you and an organizer is when you get off of a stage that you probably will never be on. There are those stages that's kind of one and done, certain conferences and those kinds of things. Offer a suggestion for the next speaker, somebody that you trust, that would be great for that particular stage. How are you going to do that if you don't have speaker friends, right? So that's another really fabulous reason to have
referrals. Referrals
Yes.
are one of the best ways to get speaking opportunities.
Yes. And you refer a friend, and guess what they're going to do for you, right? They're going to do the same. So it's a go give. There's plenty for everyone. I just love that spirit behind this industry. Depending on when this airs, as we are actually live today, NSA just wrapped up yesterday, the big NSA convention. And those are a lot of those are speakers that have known each other for decades. And what valuable, incredible, rich relationships those are. They're collaborators. They are comrades. They're confidants. They're not competitors. They may beat you out of a speaking engagement, but you might beat them out of the next one, and you guys can laugh about it. I don't see any downside to banding together with other speakers.
Along those lines, we have a group of speakers who all talk about burnout. And it's a pretty big group. They actually go and pitch conferences together as a panel. And I'm like, I love that. And each one of them has their own lane. This one talks about burnout, and you're preventing burnout amongst your team. This one is preventing burnout at a personal level. This one is looking at it from a leadership level. Like, there's all these different aspects of the topic, and together they have an amazing panel that they can present to an event organizer and say, here you go, ready-made panel, ready to go.
Brilliant. I've not seen that in the works, and that's just brilliant. And that comes with experience and just that spirit of openness, right? That spirit of abundance. So fabulous. You have been so much fun, Bobbie. Definitely look Bobbie up, innovationwomen.com, or if you happen to be a man or want to connect with her further, Bobbie, B-O-B-B-I-E.
We do have men on Innovation Women.
Really?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes. What kind of diversity, equity, and inclusion organization would I be running if not everyone was welcome? So we always welcome male allies as well.
Okay. There you have it. There you have it. And then Bobbie, B-O-B-B-I-E Carlton on LinkedIn. And you've been so much fun. Thank you for bringing all of your wisdom and beauty to us today.
Thank you for recognizing all of the complexities of the speaker world.
They're there, but it's worth it, huh? It's worth it. All right. And to our SpeakPact audience, ciao, ciao for now.
Thank you for listening to the SpeakPact podcast. To become a recommended speaker of Antoniette's WPC speaker agency, or you are a host or planner looking for a dynamic expert in optimized performance, Antoniette would like to personally meet with you. Secure a time with her at speakerbooker.com. Again, that is speakerbooker.com. It all begins with a vision, a voice, and a pact to impact. Join the SpeakPact movement by joining our new private Facebook group at the link in our show notes. Find us on nearly every social media platform at One Antoniette. That's number 1, ANTONIETTE, or simply hashtag SpeakPact.